Hi guys, welcome back to another amazing video of Top Movies Recap. I hope you are all doing well. Today I'm going to talk about supernatural horror movie called Blood Red Sky. In this movie, an RAF station in Scotland is preparing for the arrival of a hijacked transatlantic airliner. Colonel Drummond has been dispatched to the scene, and as soon as he arrives, an officer informs him that they are operating under the premise that the pilot and co-pilot are both dead. He also has information that at least one passenger on board the jet is on the German terrorism watch list. As Drummond enters the control center, an officer speaks with the plane describing how they should land, while another officer watches them approach. Drummond asks his troops for a sight and contacts the plane to inquire about the condition on board as activity emerges near one of the doors. Drummond radios a new subject in the cockpit, telling him that they will open fire. He moves and instructing him to climb into the pilot's seat and slowly raise his hands. The man asks to be let out of the plane so he can explain everything to them, insisting that he is not a terrorist. Drummond later sends his interpreter to speak with Elias, the youngster who is being evaluated by a doctor. Because he's in shock, she doesn't learn anything from him. We return to a hotel room a day earlier and find Elias' mother, Nanya, in the shower getting ready for the journey. She later consults with her doctor in New York, where she and Elias will be seeking treatment for her unexplained sickness. The plane has finally taken off from Germany and is on its way to the United States. Nadia returns to her seat after a few hours in the restroom and writes something down in her notebook, which is a snapshot of her and her spouse. She remembers him warmly as part of a chain of events that began innocently enough but ended with them and their baby stranded in the middle of nowhere. Her husband leaves to seek assistance, but Nadia remains at home with the baby. She sees a ruckus at the plane's front end during her current flight. They open the hatch and throw them down to the lower level of the plane, after which Berg informs the passengers that they have taken control and instructs everyone to place their hands on the seat in front of them. Yuri, the bearded guy, locates the black box and reprograms it, then informs Berg in the cockpit. The plane is turned by the co-pilot. Even though his mother urges him not to be concerned, Elias becomes concerned for his mother, but he analyzes the plane's schematics and tells her where she can shelter from the sun. Curtis convinces Farid to rise and move to the front of the plane, while Carl tries to calm 8-Ball and Elias flees his seat. 8-Ball chases after Elias and Nadia, but he still shoots her in front of Elias. He snatches the youngster and places him back in his seat, urging him to stay put. Berg runs across Curtis about halfway back and asks him what happened. Berg approaches 8-Ball and threatens to murder him if he does it again, but he continues to use Nadia's death as an example to the other passengers. In a flashback, we return to Nadia's automobile, where she is waiting with her baby for her husband to return with assistance. She exits the car after a short wait and wanders into the woods, following in her husband's footsteps. When Nadia comes across an abandoned house, she believes she will find him inside. She is still alive when she wakes up in the plane. When Nadia hears dogs in the hold, she descends through a hatch. Meanwhile, Farid and two other guys are forced to read a terrorist-sounding statement by Berg. Back in the hold, Nadia hides under a car as Curtis and Yuri search for bomb-making materials. As Nadia approaches one of the dogs and feasts on it, Yuri sets it up. Nadia returns to Yuri's body and consumes his blood, hastening her change before returning to the other side of the realm. The hijackers tell the passengers that if they move from their seats, nerve gas would be released, and then they head to the hold, where they find Yuri and a dog that Nadia had turned loose to appear like it killed him. While Berg talks with the man who will pick them up from the ocean, the hijackers put on their dive gear and prepare to jump. When Elias discovers they are on autopilot, Nadia continues to change in the cockpit, which worries him. She notices the hijackers on the security monitors and instructs him to turn it off once they jump. 8-Ball realizes she isn't dead and returns to the plane with Berg in search of her. One of the passengers informs them that she is in the cockpit, so they go there and ask her to open the door. Nadia tells the man to turn the plane back toward the US, despite the fact that he claims they are closer to Europe. Berg threatens to kill a passenger when the hijackers detect the plane turning. He shoots him and warns Nadia that they'll keep killing others until she opens the door, then sends 8-Ball to get him another one. The psychopath finds a small girl and delivers her to Berg, who shows her to Nadia. He starts the countdown, but before he can shoot the girl, Nadia runs out of the cockpit and attacks him, biting him in the neck and terrifying Bastian and the others. The person in the cockpit closes and locks the door with Elias inside. After finishing Berg's blood, Nadia pursues the rest of them as they flee back to the hold. Herb begins to change, and when Nadia hears it, she returns to kill him, with 8-Ball watching everything unfold. She returns to the door and instructs Elias not to open it because he'll be safer there, then enters the restroom to assess her change. 8-Ball inquires about her bag and returns to the other hijackers who are reading from her journal. He claims she's a vampire, but Carl doesn't believe the others when they tell him what Nadia did because he didn't see what happened. Carl is too preoccupied with how crazed 8-Ball is, who uses a UV laser to harm Nadia. He injects the drug into her and enters another flashback. Nadia tries to feed herself while taking care of Elias as a baby. She hisses at the baby as it continues to wail, then rushes to the bathroom to tear her fangs out so she doesn't hurt him. When Nadia returns to the house where she was converted, the father of the vampire who turned her appears. As the plane loses altitude, Nadia transports Elias to the other side of the plane and hands him over to Farid. She pursues 8-Ball and discovers him inside a bulletproof vehicle, so no matter how many bullets she fires, nothing occurs. Even when she begs him not to, the lunatic injects himself with her blood. 8-Ball starts turning right away, and Nadia realizes what she needs to do to stop him. She goes out and collects matches and alcohol, then returns and pours it inside the car, setting it on fire. The elderly vampire told Nadia that they couldn't allow their evil spread and that they had to stop it. She starts bashing his face, and the man screams she can't control the evil inside of her before she hits the fatal blow. The plane finally stabilizes, but the hijackers see a fire in the cargo hold. However, Nadia has already put out the fire and is crawling back inside the plane. When the hijackers fire at Nadia, the passengers panic and rush to the front of the plane, including Farid, who is holding Elias. When the hijackers discover 8-Ball alive in the car, he attacks Curtis and drinks his blood, then exits and pursues the others. Nadia locks the whole door and hears Elias yelling after her that the passengers are planning to murder her. Farid, on the other hand, shouts out that they won't hurt her. Evidently not in agreement with the others, one of them shoots her. When Farid rushes to her rescue, 8-Ball bites him, and the other guy shoots him when he pushes through the door. While Curtis, now fully changed, tries to get back into the plane from below, Nadia chops off Farid's hand to block the spread to the rest of his body. Nadia successfully repositions him in 8-Ball, preventing the stewardess from becoming vampire grub. She then returns to the passengers and locates Bastian, while Farid assuages their fears by assuring them that she is on their side. Nadia returns him to the cockpit, where he informs her that they are out of fuel and must find the nearest airport to land. While he stays behind with Bastian, Farid and Elias persuade her to go below the cockpit, where it's dark. When the pilot receives a signal from a nearby RAF airbase, he informs them that they have been kidnapped, but that they were able to defeat the hijackers and imprison them in the cargo hold. While the passengers hear the vampires raging in the hold, Elias walks up to hunt for his mother's medicine. When they all get out of the plane, Nadia offers to manually blow up the plane, explaining to Elias that it is necessary. The youngster does not want to see his mother die, so he dashes down into the hold in search of the hijackers' timer, shielded by a UV light. Elias is pursued by the vampires in the hold, but he manages to avoid them all. When the vampires attack him and he drops the light, Elias finds the correct tool and begins returning to the cockpit. From the cockpit, Nadia notices what is going on and decides to assist Elias. She inquires as to whether the plane is on the right course, to which Bastian responds that it is on autopilot, indicating that anyone with traffic control can land the plane at this point. Nadia turns to Farid and demands that he pledge to look after her son, then feeds Bastian, knowing that this will complete her change. When 8-Ball hears Elias scream, he claims him for himself and attacks him with the other vampires. Nadia attacks him before he can reach the boy, and the two vampires struggle in the hold. When Elias gets the notion to blow open the hold door so his mother can push 8-Ball out, 8-Ball bites her. Meanwhile, Farid notices that the boy is alone in the hold with his mother, and 8-Ball returns to the plane to pursue him. Farid disables the autopilot and flips the plane sideways, exposing 8-Ball to the sun and murdering him. Elias feeds his mother his own blood, and she wakes up, barely able to resist the urge to feed on him again. She pulls him away and returns to the cargo hold. Back at the RAF base, Elias inquires about Farid and begs her to help him, but the racist informs him that no matter what Farid says, he is one of the evil guys. Before the sun sets, Elias warns her that they must save him from the vampires. Drummond regains control once the youngster is sedated. He tells his cops to stand by while the vampires on the plane feed on the dead that remain. The army continues to chat to Farid and try to persuade him to hand himself over, oblivious to what is going on and unresponsive to his pleadings. They finally shoot him down and make their way to the jet, where they take him inside and out before he can blow it up. The soldiers board the jet with no idea what awaits them inside. As the youngster is being driven to the hospital, Elias uses the medication that was prescribed for him to subdue the paramedic. He grabs his teddy bear and leaps from the plane, sprinting toward it. The soldiers are assaulted by vampires since they do not adhere to Farid's instructions. He sees Elias from the rear of the truck a few moments later, but the youngster doesn't hear him call for him. When Elias arrives at the plane, he notices his mother eating a soldier and shouts out to her. To the amazement of Drummond and his crew, Elias blows up the jet when he finds she's no longer his mother. Farid finds Alea's next to the rubble with his last strength and they embrace. We hope you enjoyed our today's video. If you did like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest and interesting videos.